4th of July, happy 4th of July, everybody. It's Independence Day. I got my Independence Day hat on, and I thought that freedom would be the subject of the day. And I appreciate everything that we have in this country. And I don't really know anybody personally. I don't associate with anybody personally who doesn't appreciate that. And for me, the word freedom over the last couple years has come to mean a lot more than just the freedoms that we get inside of this country. Freedom for me is something that needs to be strived for by the man, by the person, in all aspects of your life. See, we can have all these freedoms and these choices and these abilities to go do things, but what do we actually do? How much of those freedoms do we actually use? I mean, we live in a world and we live in a country where, if we're being honest, despite our so-called freedom, there's a lot of things that we still hold ourselves slaves to. And I don't know about you, but I don't like being a slave. I don't like feeling like a slave. I don't like feeling like I have to be confined or restricted in any way. And over the course of my life, recent years, I've learned to evaluate what freedom really means to me. And for me, freedom means abundance. Freedom means having what you want, what you desire. It doesn't mean just doing whatever you want. It doesn't mean just doing what you feel like in the moment. It feels like really evaluating your life and saying, what do I want? What will fulfill me? What will make my life worth living? And if I can live my life every day in that way, then I'm free. So what does that look like? What do I mean by that? Well, for one, I'll take the fact that it's the 4th of July, and for many of my adult years, 4th of July was a drinking holiday. So I'm trying to use this new little handheld thing I got. It's a little flimsy. It was a drinking holiday. Normally on the 4th of July, my number one concern going into today will be to make sure I have enough beer. Literally, like, I might have even been so proactive, because I'm a planner, that I would have checked yesterday to make sure I was good to go. And I more than likely would have already been drinking at this point in the day. Nothing wrong with drinking. Having a few beers. I might have a few beers later today. I don't know. It hasn't really even crossed my mind at this point. And I'm free from that. And I think that's an interesting concept, because you don't have to be an alcoholic to be a slave to alcohol, or a slave to just a lifestyle of drinking on this holiday, or that's the norm, that you celebrate this holiday by partying and drinking. What about in your marriage? What is freedom inside of marriage? Well, freedom to me inside of a marriage is not just being married. It's not getting everything that I want. It's knowing that even though my wife and I are going to have disagreements, that she's always going to be there, and that I'm always going to be there for her, and that we're a team. There's freedom in that, because freedom in that will let me be honest with her, will let me be willing to share the truth about how I feel, what I want, and even if there's some pain on the way there, I'm not holding back. I'm not restricting myself from the ability to have a fulfilled marriage. Same with my children. What is freedom? Got a bug in my eye. Ugh. What is freedom when it comes to being a father, being a parent? That's a tough one, because you want your children to become so much. You want so much for them. You want them to not make the same mistakes that you make. You want them to be able to learn from you and be better, and for all the wisdom that you give to them, you want them to take it to heart and run with it. But the reality of it is that just isn't possible. Not in all cases. We can say all the things that we want to our children, and they're going to end up choosing their own life. We cannot force things on them. We can only show them the way. They have to choose to accept them. So freedom for me as a parent is knowing that my evaluation as a parent actually doesn't come from my children. Definitely not today. I love when they say they love me and they love spending time with me and they appreciate what I do, but there's times when they don't and they say mean things. They think I'm saying mean things to them, and I might say mean things to them. But I get my self-worth as a parent in knowing that I am stewarding my children the way that God wants me to take care of them, because they're not really mine at the end of the day. Someday they're going to go and be adults and be out on their own, and all I can do is give them everything I can during the time that they're under my roof. They're not my children, they're God's children. And there's freedom in knowing that, because I can't really mess up. I mean, I can mess up, I shouldn't say that. But I'm not being evaluated by them. And inside of business, inside of money, what is freedom there? Freedom inside of money is not making more money. This is one of the hardest lessons I've learned in life, because my life has been surrounded by money. I've wrapped up my value, my personal value, in money. I even, as a CFO or as a financial expert, everything revolves around money. And the older I got, the more I realized that more money didn't equal happiness. It didn't equal freedom. It can get you things, but the more you wrap yourself up in the things, the more of a slave you actually become. It's like you need the next thing, you need more things to get more fulfillment. And that all came crashing down on me in my life. And I had to learn that the word freedom, when it comes to money, was a better word. True abundance came through being free mentally from the attachment to money. Because the more things I had, the more I felt like I had to earn and provide and work and work and work and work. And the less I was enjoying all these other things that I had. My family, my kids, my wife, just having fun. You know, enjoying life, enjoying this day like this, being able to walk around my property now and just enjoy it and not look at it as something I need to fix and something I need to work on and something that costs money. Because when you do that, you always end up evaluating that, and at some point you're going to come and say, this ain't worth it anymore, and you're going to quit. Or you're going to go through some pain and you're going to take it out on somebody. You're going to take it out on yourself. You might take it out on your children. You might take it out on your wife. You might screw some things up permanently because you're attached to money, because you build this stress inside yourself that you need to produce and produce and produce, but you're lacking purpose. So how do you find this freedom? You have to have a mission for your life. You have to have a purpose for your life. When I finally found a purpose for my life, I found freedom. Why? Well, I found freedom because each day I was doing something good. I was doing something impactful. So it didn't really matter if I was, quote unquote, earning something or if I was putting dollars in my bank account. I learned to get the fulfillment inside of what I was doing and who I was impacting. And here's the crazy part about it. When I started doing that, more money came. And the money didn't matter in terms of my fulfillment initially. But what I realized was that I was making more of an impact. And more money then allowed me to make more impact. So it was like this reverse order of thinking inside of my head. And so instead of looking at something that I was doing, an action that I was going to take, or a conversation that I was going to have, instead of looking at it in terms of, will this make me money? I started thinking about it in terms of, will this make an impact? Will this conversation help somebody? Will hiring somebody to help me improve their life? Will having a hard conversation with my children or my wife ultimately open up a possibility for more freedom, aka more abundance, aka more joy, fulfillment, happiness? See, when you look at freedom through the lens of, what can I have? What do I desire? It unlocks something for you. It unlocks you from this slavery inside of your mind that my life right now is as good as it's going to get. I know this is a problem. I talk to men every day. I've seen men fight through this. I've been one of those men that have fought through this and have gone from a really, really dark place in their life and overcome it. And not only overcome it, but master it. Master this game that we're playing. It's just a freaking game. It is just a game. Like, you can figure this out. You can figure out how to win this game of life, live a life of freedom, live a life of abundance for yourself. All the crap that you're dealing with right now, all the things about your life that suck, they don't have to be that way. They don't. They really don't. I mean, you have to learn that you're in control of this. There's a level of surrender to God that you need to put inside of your life. And when you do that, and you open up these possibilities, and you learn how to master this game, everything opens up. What you're looking at right here is 10 acres of land behind me. We've got 5 horses, we've got a house, I got constant work being done here. But this is a dream that was born out of an impossible game. It was a dream that was opened up inside of my mind a year ago. And before that, there was another dream of an impossible game. And before that, there was another dream of an impossible game, and so on and so forth. I've been playing this game for about 6 years. And I started playing this game when my life was nothing. When I was a zero, when I had lost it all. When I was divorced and bankrupt and a slave to myself. I was a slave to the idea that I had screwed up everything in my life and that there was no point of living. I had these thoughts in my head that I was worthless, I was a bad person, and all my selfishness and greed had caught up to me, and I was a fraud. And when I realized that that was a lie, I was then able to start a path to freedom. Now, I had to go back and face a lot of the truths that had got me to the point of where I was 6 years ago. But once I did that, I opened up this new possibility of a new life. And not only did I unlock a new life, I've mastered a process of living my life that guarantees essentially that this life is just going to continue to get greater. It doesn't mean it's going to get easy by any means. It does not get easy, but it can get greater. And here's the funny thing about it is going to suck in so many ways no matter what you do. There is no way that you can get away from the problems. There's no way you can get away from the pain. But what you can do is choose to grow and make a bigger impact and have more and be more fulfilled all along the way. That's what I've learned. That's what I've associated myself with. Those are the kind of people that I hang out with now. So think about what you're a slave to. Do you really need to be a slave to that life? Is there a better life for you? The answer is yes. But are you willing to stop? Evaluate yourself. Think about, talk to God about what might be the purpose of your life and what possibilities that would open up for you if you decided to pursue that mission and get on that path towards that. I'm here to tell you that not only will it be greater than what you currently have, that your mind is incapable of thinking how great it can be right now. And that is a good thing. And when you learn to accept and embrace that and go after that, your life will be transformed forever.